Hello, Sunny Hill. Welcome back. It's Lou Bird on the move today. Actually, I'm back at home for this moment in time, so it's great to be with you from my home. We are continuing our discovery of sin and temptation in the Bible. And in fact, today really we're into the sin category in our scriptures today. So 1 John, where are we? 1 John 3 verse 4. And it's a really short verse, so I'll read it again. Everyone who sins breaks the law. In fact, sin is lawlessness. So John is really just being clear about what sin is. It's lawlessness. The world, I think, is changing how it thinks about sin. I think we can see that just by the condoning of certain things that were not condoned before. The world becoming slightly more tolerant about what is right and what is wrong. The edges getting blurred slightly towards your truth, my truth, their truth, whoever's truth. And ultimately, even this taking the word sin out of the dictionary, just this, the word doesn't hold the meaning that it used to mean. And so I love that John in this passage is just saying, you know what sin is? Let's define it. It's lawlessness. And ultimately this is kind of referring back to breaking the law of Moses. It's the damage of relationship between us and God. And sin is what puts a block there. It is lawlessness. And we know from reading the scriptures and in Matthew, it talks about the fact that lawlessness will increase as the day of Jesus' return draws closer. And I think we can probably agree with that actually lawlessness is increasing. Sin is becoming more and more tolerated and even in some senses celebrated, and actually holding it as this damaging concept, this damaging issue is something that less and less people, even Christians, less and less Christians are doing. Actually, they're starting to become okay with sin. And here John is saying, you know what? We've got the gospel of grace, the gospel of goodness, the freedom that comes from having our eternity secured through Jesus' sacrifice. Again, nothing that we earn ourselves. Jesus' sacrifice alone meant that sin isn't what it was. It doesn't have the power that it had over us, but yet it is still lawlessness. It is still something that we need to flee from as believers. And a person who is closer to Jesus, I don't know whether you found this, but when you are in more of a rhythm of following Jesus, where you actually notice that there is more sin in your life. I don't know whether you've noticed that. I've certainly noticed it, that those moments, those times of life, those seasons where I am closest to God, I don't feel like there's nothing wrong with me. I become acutely aware of those things in my life that God knows harm me. And so I think actually following Jesus closer just keenly trains our eye on where it is in what we're doing and how we're thinking and in what we're pursuing and what our life revolves around that is fractured and broken. And Sunny Hill, holiness is important. I want to say that because we're not going to be condoning and celebrating sin anytime soon. We are a people who chase hard after Jesus. And as we grow closer to Jesus, we realize the more we desperately need him if we're going to become like him. And that actually some of the stuff that we've just become accustomed to in our lives starts to bubble to the surface and we start feeling sick about the things that we've done for a long time. Because actually God wants us to live a life that is free from the burdens and restraints of sin. Even though ultimately what Jesus did on the cross frees us in eternity, he wants us to live in that very present day freedom now, where actually we are not lawlessness. We are not people of lawlessness. We are people of freedom, people who pursue Jesus and holiness and right living. So flee from sin today. Ask God to point out areas of you that maybe are places where you're struggling, and draw close to him, because he's the only way that we're going to be able to be free from what is holding us back. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.